Hey, it's Matt from Writer. Today we're going to talk about how the largest consumer goods and retailers in the world are using the Writer platform to scale their digital shelf. And what I mean by that is you probably have a PIM system that looks something like this, where you have all of your products, rows and rows and rows, and users and the content team need to then ingest this raw PIM information and then create tailored PDP or product descriptions for all of the different channels that you're pushing this product to. So imagine Amazon has a very specific way of creating titles and then the descriptions of the products and then the bullet points, right? And then so does Walmart. And then so does Target. So how can we automate the scaling of this content so that a human doesn't need to write all of this content by hand every time you want to push an update? And here's how we can connect agents directly to your PIM that create on-brand compliant content. So the first thing I did was I actually created what is a kind of like a demo database. So I have all of this product information that would either live in spreadsheets for some companies or in a PIM system. And then I also created brand guidelines and messaging standards. So I asked Writer to go out across all of your content on the web and then create this long document that outlines all of the different requirements when you're creating content for this brand. Here is the way we position the brand, and here are our key messaging pillars. This is important because we're going to feed this content to the agent so that it always creates on-brand compliant content for each of the different retailers, and I'll show you how this all works in practice. So let's jump into the Writer platform. So this is this like single pane of glass where users will be able to leverage all of these agents that we've created. And I've created two agents to show you how this works. The first is going to connect directly to your PIM system. So Writer can connect to any system. We have hundreds of connectors in place. And the way the user will actually leverage the agent is they'll simply go to this little plus sign here, or they can go into playbooks directly, and they'll simply select the playbook they want. So in this case here, we've created a optimized PDP content playbook. So what does this do? It generates retailer optimized product detail pages for Tresemme products. And it's ensuring that strict brand compliance and adaptation for Amazon, Target, and Walmart audiences, all based off of your PIM data. So this has direct access to your PIM. And it also has access to those brand guidelines. And you'll see why that's important in a second. So let's click Run Playbook. So the way this works is when you click Run Playbook, the agent actually kicks off its own session. So we consider this a virtual environment, but just think of it like an employee that has access to its own computer or laptop. On the right-hand side, you see the entire to-do list of what this agent is going to do and take action on. So right now, you're actually seeing it navigate and use the web. But what I'm going to show you here is we're going to see how the agent will access the PIM system to identify all of the available products. So basically, it's going to either the custom PIM that you have, or maybe you leverage a platform like Salsify or something like that. It can go across all of that data, and then it's going to ask me which products we want to create content for. So let's take a look. You can actually see on the left-hand side, this is where the agent is showing you its thought process and all of the work that it's doing. Okay, great. So now the agent is waiting for my feedback as the human. It says, hey, I found 36 products across various categories, including shampoos, conditioners, styling products, treatments. And it says, waiting for your input. So it's going to say, here are all the available products. In some cases, it might just say, here are the key areas. Can you select the specific products that we want to create the content for? Or I can create all of the treatment and specialty products, right? So let's do this. Let's copy and paste in here. I want this Keratin Smooth Weightless Blowout Heat Protection Spray. And then I want this Bouncy Curls Conditioner. And these are the two products that I want to create content for, hypothetically. You can also request all products, right? So maybe you want to just constantly refresh all of your PDPs. This is something that you can agentify. And now what the agent will kick off and do is it says, great, I will create the PDP content for these two products. And then, as you can see on the to-do list here, after it finishes generating the Amazon PDP content, the Target PDP content, and the Walmart PDP content, it will go back and ensure the compliance and quality of all of the content that was generated by the AI. So this is going to perform a thorough compliance check on all three of those PDP versions against those brand guidelines that we created. And this is how end-to-end you can create an agentic system that helps you automate your digital shelf and the content that's created for it. So let's let this agent run for a bit, and then we'll come back and we'll see how it looks. And there we have it. So the agent has finished its to-do list, and you'll see here are the optimized product descriptions, complete and approved. I've successfully created 6 distinct retailer-optimized PDP content versions for your 2 products, and they're fully compliant with all the brand guidelines. So here's how we actually take a look at that data. You can see here that the agent has created all of these documents for us, and including screenshots that it's taken to do this work along the way. So let's take a look here. Let's look at the Amazon PDP for the Keratin Smooth Weightless Blowout Heat Protection Spray. That is a long-winded product title. So you can see here, it's like followed Amazon best practices. It has essentially the weight of the product. Here's the product description. Here are the key features and bullets, how to use it, the product specifications, the key ingredients, why should we choose Tresemme, search keywords. And then here's a great addition to this, right? So we have the Target PDP, which is going to be different than the Walmart PDP. And you can see there are slight nuances to each of these as you take a look at the different descriptions that we've created. The next phase would be to now create the imagery that would couple with this. And we can pass this off to the next agent that has all of the specific image guidelines. Last thing I'll show you, this is the compliance report. So basically, we asked Writer, using these guardrails, these guidelines that we have generated here, but in most cases, you'll already have access to documents like this, which you can feed to the agents. We can say, here are the content guidelines by channel. Make sure that you adhere to all of these. Here are the do's and don'ts, right? Writer went through all of that content and it said, does this PDP content actually pass the test? Brand positioning and heritage, tone of voice requirements, messaging standards, prohibited language check. This is basically like a QA check after all of this has been generated. And we've seen that this dramatically improves the results after the fact. So this is basically QA and compliance baked into this agent as the final step in the process. Now, the other agent that I built that I'll show you really quickly is in the event you don't want to start with a direct connection to your PIM system here, you can actually create agents that also take in, for instance, content via spreadsheets, right? So as a user, maybe you want to simply drag and drop in a file, like a CSV file. And we can run through this exact same process that way, where the agent says, hey, user, give me the files that you're working with. I will use that to create the content. Again, also still against those brand guidelines. So there's so much flexibility into what you can do. And what you'll see is that if we look at the details, this is where we define for the agents what we want them to do. So I've in plain English, there's no code at all required to build these agents. In the Writer platform, I have articulated what I want the agent to do. And then we've built this really rigid to-do list so that the agent can just follow each of these steps one by one. So that finishes our tour for the day. I'd love to go much deeper with you, show you some of the image generation capabilities, show you how you can really tailor this to your own brand guidelines and all of that fun stuff. If you want to go deeper, let me know. Happy to schedule something. Thanks.